Do your homework.
Okay, we are streaming.
All right, the meeting is called to order at 6:58. Ms. Stevens, will you call the roll?
Ms. Stubblefield,
Here.
Mr. Anderson, Ms. Capel,
Here.
Mr. McDade,
Here.
Mr. Norton,
Here.
Mr. O'Connell,
Here.
Ms. Ray,
Here.
Ms. Riggs, and Ms. Mitchell. All right, you have a quorum, 6.
All right, did everybody get to review the March minutes?
Yes.
March meeting minutes. Are there any questions, corrections? Okay, motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We do a voice vote. All in favor say aye.
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 All right, motion passes.
All right, are there any citizen comments? Nope. Moving on to new business. First ordinance is, do you want me to read it or do you want to read it? Not the whole ordinance, just the.
Do you want me to, there's 3 of these that kind of go together, the gravel and impervious ones, so I think they need to be treated as one, so I can explain everything and how they work
Okay.
together. But for the rest of them, do you want to go by one, or do you want me to do the entire, read every single one, or just one by one?
We don't have to read the entire thing.
I mean, no, but I mean, like, my explanation, do you want to just do, and vote after each one, and then do the other 3 together with the gravel ones? Okay. So first is ordinance 7. Well, I do have a hard copy of the zoning map on the desk there, but I've also pulled it up on my computer. Right now, on the island, all this yellow here is residential single family. And if you build a house under residential single family, you are allowed to remove a protected tree if it's in the footprint of your home. That's the rules for RSF. It's also the driveway, the drain field, but it has to be the things that, and your driveway, does say driveway. A local architect pointed out to me that we only allow that for single family districts, not for 2-family. So 2-family is this is Center Street right here, and this, I'm gonna call it chartreuse color, right there, here, and over on that side. That is all your residential 2-family districts. It's about 80 parcels I counted. This would allow residential 2-family districts to have that same right as a residential single family, to be able to remove a protected tree in the footprint of the home when they go to build. So the same, right now you can't take down a tree and put a shed. That would still apply. They would be equal to the RSF.
Okay, and this does not apply to any other districts, commercial or like the Marsh Island,
No,
any
it
of that?
doesn't change anything except for RTF, these green ones right here.
Okay.
What if, say, someone has their plans for their house, and they're like, oh gosh, and they come to you and this tree is in the way, but they could possibly, have a smaller footprint, or maybe go a little, into the setback to avoid the tree. Like, is that a call that you can make, if it could save the tree, if it's just a matter of a couple of feet?
So 2 things. One, it does say in the ordinance already that something like must be least impactful.
Right.
And so when we are doing the permitting step, that's a conversation that we have, because this gives us the right to say that.
Okay.
But also there's something called an administrative adjustment, which allows me, without going to BZA, to give really small, it's kind of like a variance, but it's a much smaller, my authority is dimensionally much smaller. I have granted them to save trees. So that's happened twice now, where I granted an administrative adjustment to move the house a couple feet into, it went a 1.5 feet into a side setback to save a 24-inch live oak over here.
So they didn't have to take it down or mitigate or anything, they just literally moved the whole footprint?
Yes.
off to the
I
side.
was working on that this morning.
That was one of my
moving,
questions too.
Right.
moving the house
Right.
over, and so that's something at staff level that we can and do. But the impactful, it's hard to govern. It's not very precise, the language, but it still does give us a little bit of authority to say, well, hey, we'd rather you not take down this tree if you could move the house this way.
Right, right. I guess I worry, like, I think we talked about this, it hurts when we talk about taking down the trees. No, no. So, I worry, like, I know you will do everything you can to protect the trees, but what if whoever comes after you says, I don't care, this is how it reads, you know?
So we could shore up our tree ordinance.
Okay.
And I think that'd be a future conversation and not necessarily for this
Right,
right here.
and that was
today.
also kind of where I was going, is the tree fund, like, make that usable, you know, how we can use that more, because I think, how much is in the tree fund?
Something like $35,000.
So, and I think a lot of people would probably say, well, just tell me how much to pay so I can take this tree down and build my house exactly like I want.
And they do.
And they do.
absolutely do.
Right, so most likely any tree that's left is probably gonna get cut down,
If it's in the footprint.
if it's in the footprint.
And they're saying that the mauve area on the map, though, is going to make it the same as everywhere else that's residential. It's shoring up the ordinance so that, right, that mauve area is the same as everything else? Or are you saying it's more of a variant?
It's making, I'm gonna point.
The colors are really as,
This is the residential
different.
family here and here. It's making it like the rest of the island, which
Yeah.
is all the yellow that you see in the rest of the island is the residential single family. And these are the 80 parcels that would just be given the same ordinance and the same right as the whole rest of the island in yellow. Does that answer your question?
I think so, yeah. Also, I just have a silly question, but I see the word protected a whole lot in here, and I didn't go find where the ordinance that defines protected is, or maybe I missed it, but I know there's 12-inch diameter and 24-inch diameter, but what's literally considered protected
I
trees?
got this.
Are they native?
Tree protection.
Sorry if I missed that.
Here's the list. For most of them, when you see the minimum size, when they are 12 inches at breast, at DBH, which is about 4.5 feet, that's when they become protected. The live oak is different, it's protected at 6 inches.
6 inches.
So much smaller. So that's the list of protected trees. So Amy, to answer your question, I think what you're talking about is a conversation to have and suggest more amendments to the tree ordinance.
So, I mean,
Because one of the tree fund, I've already started working on that, so that will be before you, I'll promise in 2024, I don't know what month, but it will be before you in the next couple of months. But to the tree ordinance itself, I have some suggestions and also, but if
Right.
we wanna work on this as a planning commission, we have some big stuff coming up, but maybe in a couple of months, we could do just a kind of a workshop on just the tree ordinance and get into the meat of what it really says and ways to make it more efficient, more streamlined.
yeah, and wait, like, I don't know, because I think of trees, you know, they do a lot of things, but also they do absorb water and they help with the flooding and all that, and I hate to lose anything that can help with that. So, you know, but then again, I also hate to have one more rule that people can't do what they want to do on their property, you know, they can't build the house the way they want and all that, so it's kind of like, but maybe, you know, by doing, you know, more with the tree fund, then maybe that satisfies, okay, well, you know, we'll really use this tree fund now for, you know, broader things that can help with flooding or, you know, whatever else it could be used. If there's no really limits that much to what it can be, you know, things for the community and all that. So people could take their tree down and build their house, but we also get something back, you know, as like a community or something. I don't know.
And the way I understand it right now, then, so the option is, for everything else is already yellow, you take a tree down, you can mitigate, you have to mitigate by putting another one up of similar whatnot.
If it's healthy,
or-
you either have to replant or pay into the tree fund.
Right, if I like the idea of, if the trees fund's been sitting here with $35,000 in it, I like the idea of, no, you have to put another tree up. You know what I mean? Because it's just sitting here. It's somehow or another, we need to get it going where we're actually putting the trees up if it's not.
Right, put the tree up or some other method to, you know, offer what trees do, like to help with flooding or clean out the ditches or whatever, you know, that could, you know, give us, you know, something back. rather
Another
than-
question I have, Jenna, is how much of that property right now doesn't have, or those parcels, just it's about 80 of them, doesn't have a building on it already? Because am I right in understanding
Five.
that, right,
Less
so
than-
don't most
less
of
than
them, if
five.
they're gonna tear down, they're gonna put back in the same footprint for the most part, maybe? I mean, it can go bigger depending on the size.
It could go bigger.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah, I guess
it's,
in
if it's a
terms of-
small, like one of the original cottage types, then it could go a lot bigger.
But for the purposes of tonight, we're just voting on whether or not the two families should have the same requirement as a single family.
Right, so how about, this tree fund ordinance, I've written it, it's on my desk. I'll get that moving to come before y'all again, and we could have a meeting just to talk about the tree fund. And at that time, we could also do kind of a workshop to talk about the tree ordinance in general and how y'all like to see it. And we'll do a little more workshop-y.
Okay.
'Cause
So
it-
does that, does that pause this for now?
No, this is.
No, we're still
this
gonna
is
vote.
Still gonna vote
Yeah.
on the,
We can
okay,
still vote
okay,
on-
but knowing we've got that coming, okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Didn't anybody audited how many trees are on these 80 lots?
I have, on these 80, no.
That would
Huh?
qualify.
No, we have not. We audited how many trees were taken down in the city of Folly Beach in 2023. I don't know the number, but that's part of my discussion for the tree fund ordinance.
Well, my neighbors, they got compensated, they built their house, but they had a adult child that they had to build the footprint to accommodate this adult.
Mhm. Living there with them,
Yeah, that was,
needed to live with them.
well, he's mentally 8 years old,
Yeah,
but
he
he's
needed to live
40,
with
yeah.
them. Right.
So, what they had to do was, they were able to cut the trees down to build the footprint that accommodated him. But they planted trees
Right.
and did all that.
Right.
So,
They had to replant based on the formula that we had.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
So that, none of that's changing.
no, that worked,
Yes.
Right.
you know,
that's-
that worked.
Right, that worked.
That
Right.
worked.
Right, okay.
You know,
And none of
so-
that is changing with this proposal.
Right, so.
And they planted more trees on their
Right. So
property.
you do, there are
and all
people that do
Yeah.
that will do that, not just
Yeah.
stroke a check.
There
I
are
mean,
definitely
there-
people who will pay, I
there's
mean,
so-
sorry, who will replant and want to
Replant.
save and want to replant as much as
Right.
they can. And then there are definitely people who just want to write a check and take down all trees.
Yeah. But to stay on track tonight.
Yes.
We are voting on whether or not
Thank you.
it should be allowed. Removal of a protected tree should be allowed. So somebody would need to make a motion.
Yes, I need a motion.
I'm so sorry, Paul, don't, I have one more question.
That's okay.
When the rest of the island, it was determined they could do it, why was that area not?
I think it was an oversight, because if you look at the ordinance itself, it's in the title here, and I think they meant to say removal on residential lots. I think that's what it was supposed to be, and somebody just equated residential with single family, because it's mainly single family out here.
I guess I was wondering if there was
I-
if it was an oversight or what is intentionally left off for
No,
a reason, there's just a
no.
lot more trees that are important there.
No, because I went back and did some research trying to get to the bottom of this, and it was an oversight. It should say, that should either say what that says, or it should say removal on residential
When,
lots.
when was the original one made? Like, when was it?
Well, we can scroll it up.
A long, like-
1792, when Columbus sailed the ocean.
It wasn't that long ago.
No, I don't feel like it
No,
was
it
that
wasn't.
long ago.
No.
4 to 6
So
years.
it's
Yeah.
been amended many, many times.
Okay.
So the original one, some sort of tree ordinance was back as far as 2010.
Okay.
But a lot of these changes, you can see here, 2013, 2017, 2021, I think 2021 is
Yeah.
when the.
2021, I think, is
the
when
last
we went
version.
over the whole replacement trees.
And that's when the mitigation thing came in with the, yeah, okay. Okay.
I can't remember what changed in 2021, but most of the changes were 17.
Yes, I've been through it a lot.
Nordy knows.
So just a reminder, if we are gonna vote on this, we have to have, whether you want to vote in favor or against it, we do have to have a motion in the affirmative to, I'm not making a motion, but just saying, we would have to make a motion to recommend the change to city council and have a second, then we can have discussion, which we kind of already had, and then you would vote yes or no. So whether or not you want this to happen, we still need a motion To recommend it, yeah.
And then you would vote no if you want to vote no. But yeah, the
Right.
motion is to, so who, do I have a motion to recommend?
I'll do it.
All right, and do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
So
Now you can have your
is there
discussion.
any discussion?
Do that all backward.
We could
Yeah,
do
so
that.
this is just discussing adding and to family. And if we are gonna look at this later this year, me personally, I don't know that we need to add it. If you wanna get an audit of how many lots this would affect.
That's what I'm feeling. But, so do we get to decide now that we want to, we
Yeah,
can
so we can
confirm for
discuss it
sure that
now
we're gonna come?
and,
If you wanna, so.
I mean,
think
we
what
can
you're
come back and
saying-
look at the whole thing, I think. Do we get to decide that or
Right, so if we have a session, a work session just on the tree ordinance, then we can look at all of it. But then we're just asking, do we wanna add two-family right now until that time comes? Another question would be, do you have any pending applications for two-family lots that would be put out if we
No,
did
that's a
not?
great question. I can also say I have never gotten one. In the 2 years, 2 years plus, I have not had an application. This has not come up. This is,
Okay.
I'm only doing this because an architect told me, not because it is a problem that we run into a lot.
All right,
I was just trying to fix the inconsistency.
okay. Is there any other discussion? So now we'll vote yes or no to recommend adding two-family lots to the places where you can remove a protected tree in the footprint of a home.
So if you do not want to do this now and want to postpone it until August, that would be a no vote.
And if it's fine with you, that would be it.
Can I ask one more? When you go back, say, however this goes back to council with our approval or non-approval, when you're presenting it to them, will you give them kind of the background of like, hey, planning commission had this discussion and, you know, this is what
This
they
is what-
decided, but here's their plan to move forward, just to kind of, so 'cause we kind of had to, you know, went down a little bit of a rabbit hole and feel like there needs to be more discussion. Will you let them know that as well, like, along with your approval or not approval of this, know that this is all that, you know, we're gonna go, you know, do more with it?
Sure.
Would you, okay.
Yeah, so I write a memo for every ordinance that gives y'all's vote and how you voted, and I'll throw something in there. I also speak at the meetings, the mayor has me come up for after this to just do an overview of those memos, and I'll be sure to say that tree ordinance is something that planning commission wants to tackle, and that we're gonna be having some meetings this summer.
Right, okay.
Perfect.
So they know.
All right, so Ms. Stevens,
is
will you
everybody
call
clear on the
the
motion?
roll? The motion is whether or not to recommend adding two-family to protected tree removal in the footprint of a dwelling.
All right. Mr. McDade?
Nope.
Mr. Norton?
Nope.
Mr. O'Connell?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. Capel?
No.
And Ms. Stubblefield?
Yes.
That is 3-3, motion fails.
Oh, that's right, we have an even number.
So, okay, so you did not vote to recommend it to council, is what the memo will be.
But I'm with Amy, I voted, my no was voted to go back, look at the whole thing and do it one time.
Yes, and that will, I will make sure that it's submitted to council.
And my yes was because I knew we were gonna do that.
But I think that was not the way she put it.
What do you mean?
She said, no means we're gonna go back.
No means this does not pass, but.
Right.
Right.
And just,
And the motion,
Right.
effectively, it was tied, so it did not pass. The motion to recommend it did not pass. So I will not be,
So now you don't even, well,
I'll-
you'll say that it didn't
I will
pass,
say
but,
that, yes,
right.
did not recommend this.
It was a
ordinance
heated
change.
debate, and it was the time. Okay,
Okay,
all right, let's move on. The next one is add pervious materials to the definitions and include industry standard specifications. I'm surprised we don't have definitions before this.
okay, so these are the three that I'd like to introduce or talk about
Oh,
together.
that's right, okay.
8, 9, and 10, because they all
All right.
feed off of each other. So 8 is very,
Are we
very simple.
gonna do all of them right now?
Yeah, 8, 9, and 10, and then
Okay.
vote on it next, yes. We don't define pervious material right now. In our driveway ordinance, which is in here later, it says residential driveways must be pervious, but what does that mean? And so right now, what we're doing is, if someone puts it on a site plan, then we ask for specs, and they send the specs, and they defend what they think is pervious. And so if somebody says gravel, we don't just say, okay, they have to do a base layer of 6 inches of crushed stone below it. And that is what we consider gravel today, right now, and have for 20-plus years in the city of Folly Beach. So this definition puts gravel in there as pervious, and then pervious permeable pavers, which you're all familiar with. And then this last language is to give us some flexibility when people do submit something that says, well, this is pervious because it's bricks and it's on dirt. Well, that's not pervious. So this last sentence here, industry standard materials approved by zoning administrator or building official, just gives us the authority to take a look when somebody sends us something, and we can have a little bit stronger argument when we say, no, this is not pervious.
Is there any reason you would need to put, like, must be at least 50% pervious, or?
So that's
like
what I looked at, because there are numbers there, 40%, and it's a calculation that's made within, you take like a square foot and how much water gets in. All of the numbers came from, the industry, the paver companies. And there's just so much variability that we could not come up with a number that we thought was fair. And so that's why this is a little bit more flexible.
Okay.
So that, because this all comes down to a one case-by-case basis. It already does.
But this gives you guys pretty
This
much
gives us
the authority
To question when someone just writes.
approve or deny.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
And you don't need to say it must be at least like 6 inches deep or anything more specific.
Yeah. We did not, Eric and I looked at this and looked at other jurisdictions.
Do you want to get too much in the weeds with
Don't,
it?
well, I don't want to tie people to that when there might be a different material that works a different way.
Yeah.
That it might not be that it lets as much on the surface, but it lets more down this way. So
Yeah.
there's just, it's not obvious what that number should be.
Okay.
The sidewalk on Second Street is asphalt, but it is pervious.
Yes. Yes. You can have pervious
It's
asphalt, you can have
pervious.
pervious concrete.
It's pervious. So
Permeable or?
pervious is pervious. Whether, the water goes through, whether it's asphalt, gravel, whatever. If it's the right material, it has to be pervious.
And it has to have a base layer under it too,
Right,
which we
right,
require.
which they did,
There's
On-
storage underneath that one.
huh?
There's storage for
Oh,
rain.
oh,
There's,
I know,
There's
I know.
storage containers.
I
on
watched it being built.
Yeah, having fun.
Yeah,
On the other side
yay,
of the
finally.
street.
And now I have a stop sign.
So are we gonna vote or are we gonna just keep
Okay, so-
explaining?
So this defines pervious, and just please note that gravel is listed as a specific material that we are counting as pervious in ordinance 8. Then ordinance 9 takes gravel out of impervious.
Okay.
Same thing, it's always been in there, it has never been treated that way. So this is just cleaning it up, it's the counterpart to 7, it's just the opposite of that, taking it out of
Okay.
impervious. And then 10. All right, so here, D is the section that requires driveways in residential areas to be pervious. So this uses that definition. Now, the new definition for pervious will be what we're looking at when we require this. This proposal would add commercial driveways to that also. So instead of just residential driveways being required to be pervious, commercial driveways on Center Street would also be required to be pervious.
So this doesn't include island commercial, is this all commercial?
Now, is it
Everything commercial,
All commercial.
okay.
So this basically covers the whole island at this point.
This will be the entire
Entire
jurisdiction.
If we're gonna be
I like it.
pervious, let's be pervious.
Exactly.
I mean,
That's kind of,
you know,
And it's not requiring anybody to rip
That's a
anything up.
no-brainer.
It's saying,
Let's
if
be
you ever go to
perfect.
replace it.
correct, this will only be when they go to, for new construction,
Yeah.
if, whatever you have, you get to keep as long as you want.
So you're
But I
saying that
can't-
if the Tides redid their parking lot,
Yep.
they would have to have it pervious?
And we just passed that for the Marsh.
if I redid my
Marsh
driveway,
District.
which is concrete, it would have to be pervious.
And then,
And it doesn't have to be gravel, I mean, it can be like Michael said, the
Right.
asphalt.
It could be
that we used
asphalt,
over there,
yeah.
pervious asphalt or pervious concrete.
and then even our neighbors, the city, no, the Department of Transportation had to do some work. I don't know what they had done over at Kenny and Caroline's house with the water line and the part of the driveway they tore up, they had to put
Pervious.
pervious material
Right, of course.
at the end.
I think
And this
this is
does,
a no-brainer.
so all
Let me-
walkways and
Let me get a
pool
second part.
decking too.
Yes, so the first part is adding commercial to the requirements for pervious driveways. The second part, so this really is two things to be considered here. The second part is for at-grade improvements such as walkways and pool decking. It would require those to be pervious. So right now, if you build a new house and you put in your driveway with pavers or gravel or whatever you have as pervious, you can still put up a walkway to the front of your house or the pool, you can put concrete around the pool. This would just require all of those other at grade, no concrete, no sidewalk, or no concrete, no asphalt will be allowed there. It kind of already works itself out, because if you have somebody doing pervious pavers, you're just gonna let them continue on to do your walkway or whatever. But I still do see, they put in just the minimum they have to, the pervious driveway, and then there are other places of concrete or pervious. Also, a lot of houses that are being built out here, they're put the footprint up to the 35%, so they are scrambling to put every single bit of impervious around. So this really isn't affecting a lot of people. But like you said, if you're gonna get pervious, get pervious.
Right. That's right.
Okay, so that's all three. The first two are the ones that add gravel to pervious, take it out of impervious, but those definitions are important to this number 10 also. So I wanted you to have the information from 8 and 9 before voting on 10 also.
So, is there a motion to recommend ordinance 8-24, which adds a definition of pervious materials?
For a vote.
Well, to
I thought we were gonna
discuss.
vote
Are we gonna
all
vote?
of them.
I thought we were doing.
We're gonna do them individually, but
Oh,
we need
individual.
motions first. So,
Yeah.
Motion
got a motion to approve number 8. Okay. Now discussion.
Any discussion on number 8 to add pervious material
I'm gonna
definition?
tell you, I don't love adding gravel.
Okay.
Huh?
I don't love adding gravel
Why not?
to it. I feel like it's a loose term, and it's a loose thing for people to use, I don't wanna see every driveway, every right-of-way, everything on the beach turn into gravel, and then all of a sudden, we're like one giant gravel parking lot.
Because
Especially
you
with
know?
flooding and moving
I mean,
things
because
around.
then, because if you leave gravel out, then nobody's gonna, pavers cost more. There are definitely other options. Gravel is the least expensive, so that's definitely what people are gonna go with, and I get that. But, as people are changing things, then you're gonna have more and more and more gravel. And gravel, it travels, it moves. All of a sudden, your driveway's this big, all of a sudden, it's, it moves,
There's lots out here where the entire front yard is gravel.
Right, and I watch it all the time, and people see gravel, and then they're like, sweet, parking, more parking, but, and it also goes the other way. There's a gravel across the street from me, and nobody parks in it, they all park in my front yard, because it's just dead grass. So,
They park on the right of way.
they are in the right of way, absolutely, but I feel like adding gravel might just be like a slippery slope where, it's hard to manage, and all of a sudden we've got more and more and more, and then we're right back here maybe in 10 years thinking, oh my God, how do we get rid of all this,
Yeah, but what, I'm thinking about in ordinance 10, when people make improvements, put up a cabana in their yard or whatever, like, I think, or especially in the commercial area, I think gravel's appropriate for those kind of things.
Yeah, I think there are grades of gravel, there's the pea gravel,
Right.
there's, the stuff that you see, that
The large
crushes your
rocks.
feet, and,
Yeah.
So,
Well, the kind that's
I
more
mean, somebody's
sanitary is not
building
gonna
a
move
$2
with the
million
flooding.
home. They're not going to put big chunky gravel.
Yeah,
I mean,
Right.
I can't see that. I
Right.
can't see that.
But if somebody
Well-
just has to redo their driveway,
yeah.
And to your point, there's a house on the west side of here on Fifth Block that's entire front, didn't used to be, but their entire front yard, and on any given Sunday, there are 14 cars there. But when they had grass or other types of plantings, they just put gravel in, just like you said, and now there's.
What kind of gravel?
I mean, it's, I really haven't gone to.
So there-
That was-
there's
Pea gravel,
different,
pea
there's
gravel.
different sizes, and I have this little, I just happen to have this page up on my computer. Crushed stone number 3 here and crushed stone number 57 here. If you read to the end of the sentence, they're both used for drainage. So those are the sizes. Why is this not working? See, drainage, projects for drainage. So that is what we allow and consider to be permeable. Crushed number 3.
So those are the two.
Crushed number 3,
that are
crushed
allowed.
57.
So that's considered the only two gravels
Correct.
they can use.
If it's little teeny gravel that's gonna just get compacted, then no, we
Right,
would not allow that.
right.
It has to be one that is specifically allows for drainage.
Which is kind of to what Paula's question was, is there like a certain amount, percentage or whatnot on your,
That needs to allow water to go through.
yeah, on the purpose question.
But if you guys already have like an internal guide of what gravel can and can't be used,
It's number 3, and number
Then-
57.
that's good for me. The issue with people's whole front yards being gravel is a different issue. It's, there's already an ordinance that you're supposed to have one driveway for your house, and maybe that needs to be worked on some, but I don't think it's part of this.
But they're not
You?
using it as a
I don't-
driveway.
They're not using it as a parking lot.
Well, they are.
Yeah, as
Oh.
a parking lot.
Once they
Well,
own
any
it, private
grows,
property, they can
like-
do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I could gravel my whole yard if I wanted
well, you definitely could if this passes.
to. Well, exactly. But it would be two different kinds that would be pervious.
Mhm.
It's my right.
Yeah.
And you also have to
You
have a
know,
base layer with the gravel.
I
You
can
have to have
take
a
up
gravel,
all
you have
that
to crushed stone, grace,
nasty
base
planing
layer.
stuff.
I mean, the reality is, I don't think most people want to put gravel through their whole yard.
No. No.
But a little questionable, I guess.
Any more questions about gravel?
No.
The things you think we'll breeze on through. All right, any more discussion? Are we ready to vote?
That's fine.
We call the roll. We are voting whether or not yes would be a vote to recommend the definition of pervious material as listed here. No would be a vote to not recommend adding the definition of pervious material.
On number 8. we're on
So
eight,
number
right?
8.
8.
Mhm. All right, Ms. Ray,
No.
Mr. O'Connell,
Yes.
Mr. Norton,
Yes.
Ms. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. McDade,
Yep.
Ms. Stubblefield.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Amy, I understand I appreciate your concerns too.
But I also do think that's a separate issue, and we could
Could be.
address it if we added it to.
So do you make notes of these things, or I guess we can make notes, because I'd like to read more about what it does say, what the other ordinances you're referring to, what it says, and are there things we can look at in that? So we
'Cause-
don't have full-on parking lots.
Well, I was
for a
thinking
house.
about how you can have one driveway from the street. So if you had your entire area gravelled, how would you have one?
There's not.
It's where it crosses the right of way. So where it crosses the right of way, if it's 15 feet.
So it can be like
once you're on
15
private
and then-
property, you can go out to whatever you want.
But then in that scenario, they'd be parking on that property and not, anyway.
Well, what happens with the gravel though, when you're gonna go this way and this way, all that
Okay.
gravel's then gonna flow and then all of a sudden it's moving out that way. And
I
you're gonna
actually
like-
have 3 jobs.
Okay, but we
All
got
right.
it. It's done.
Number 9.
Ordinance number 9. Is there a motion to approve removing gravel from impervious materials?
So technical question, yes, the motion to send
Okay.
in to discuss, right?
And then is there a second? Okay.
Who was my
Mike.
second?
Second.
Any discussion?
My just question was, since we just passed this one, this is literally a technicality to match that one.
Yes. And it would be really weird if we.
Yes, exactly. So I think that's an easy
That's what
one.
we're talking about.
Now we get to an
Together.
easy one.
Okay. Any more discussion? We call the roll, please?
All right. Ordinance number 9 to approve to council. Ms. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Norton,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
No.
that's consistent.
Yeah, that's right.
Mr. O'Connell,
Yes.
Mr. McDade,
Yep.
and Ms. Stubblefield.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, ordinance 10. We are talking about whether we should add "and commercial" and, okay, better way to say it, recommending making all surfaces permeable.
Now, because this is really two things, and I put it in one ordinance, I do want to offer, if somebody wants to break this into two, if you're going to vote, if you are conflicted on one or the other, we could break it into two and say,
Okay.
commercial, yes, but at grade, no. Or- But if you're okay with both, then it can stay how it is. So just for the motion, for purposes of the motion.
Keep it
Does
fun.
anybody, I'll keep them together personally, but does
Yeah.
anybody want to split them? Okay.
So do I have a motion for
Motion
approving?
to approve.
Okay,
So,
Second.
second, okay.
Any discussion? No, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. O'Connell,
Yes.
Mr. McDade,
Yep.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Norton,
yes.
Ms. Capel,
Yes.
Ms. Stubblefield.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay.
All right.
Ordinance number 1124. This is, this is an ordinance to define what single ownership is under the combination of lots ordinance, which has to do with the merger ordinance, which would be, are you pulling up the lots?
I'm gonna kind of explain the merger
Okay.
ordinance. I think it gives it more context for what it's saying.
Okay.
So if my computer cooperates, we're gonna go over here to second block. So these lots over here, I'm gonna measure them real quick. A standard lot is 10,500 square feet. If you do not meet that size requirement of a 10,500 square foot lot, and you own two of these lots next to each other, then the city of Folly Beach considers them to be one lot. And an example would be, sorry, I don't know how to use this computer. This lot right here, we're gonna measure it real quick. All right, 3,300 square feet, and it's very approximate. And then this other one here next to it, 3,500 square feet.
7,000.
So even together, they're still only 7,000 square feet, and we require a lot in 10,500 square feet. So take these houses off of here. This is just an illustration. It's not actually what's going on here. But let's say the same person owns both of those skinny lots right there, and there's no house on it whatsoever. They want to come to build under our merger ordinance. That is considered to be one lot. From here, oh, Lord have mercy.
How is it considered to be one lot?
If there were
Because our merger ordinance makes it one lot.
houses on it.
Because I'll bring up the language if you wanna see it.
Well, I have the perfect personal example.
Okay,
My son owns an Indian, 319 West Indian. I bought the lot next to him, 317,
those are full-size lots.
full-size lots.
This only applies to.
This is only-
Anything under
substandard
10,000.
lots.
Okay, all right, no.
Yeah, so that's why I chose these little skinny ones, because I could just visually tell that they're not
Okay,
full-size
all right.
lots. So yeah, if you have a 10,500 square foot lot, and you have two of those next to each other, this would not apply. It's only when they're smaller
Well,
lots.
he's joining them, or I
Pardon?
joined him.
Oh, yeah.
So it's now 20,000.
Okay.
Okay.
But this is the city requiring you to join
Okay.
them if they are substandard in size. Does that make sense?
Do we know how many occasions this currently would apply, that somebody owns two lots side by side that aren't the 10,000?
Under 20?
Under
We have
20.
That
Maybe-
ordinance already exists though.
Yeah, the ordinance already, the merger
Yeah, I'm
ordinance
just-
exists. Maybe 20, 30, somewhere like that. Because if it's a normal size lot, it doesn't apply, it's only these small lots. So that's what the merger ordinance does. 2 small lots, we're gonna treat it as one if you're going to develop or you're going to build. Now, this definition is gonna add what single ownership means, because theoretically, someone has a house in their name, or their property in their name for one property, the next one they have it in an LLC, or maybe they own one and their spouse owns another one. What this does is say, in those cases where all the different equitable owners who are listed here, we're gonna still count that as single ownership, even if the name on the deed is different. If it's an LLC that you're a member of, then this catches that, and those would still be merged even if they are in different names. So that's what this does, define what are we saying single ownership is for the purposes of merging.
But, so do we need to do anything to approve discussion first?
Let's get a motion.
Yeah, let's get a motion. I'll motion.
Okay,
Second.
okay.
This is just a technical question too, but if there's a lot, how does the city know if there's a lot in my name, it's pretty obvious, but there's, Edge of America LLC next door. How does the city know that it actually is, that I'm a member of that LLC?
It would take some investigative work on our end, which does happen anyway. So when we're dealing with these substandard lots, we're gonna be looking at the Secretary of State to see who the registered agent is. And so it may take a little investigation. That is to say we might not catch it.
But I would say the city pretty much knows what all of these are already.
We have these in a list somewhere.
Mhm.
Yes, I've seen it, it exists.
Did anybody have any other questions? I'm gonna make a motion to amend.
Me too.
So, combination of lots says if 2 or more lots of record, ... After you get to chapter 165, the blue highlighted below that, so, okay. It says if one or both of these lots, so I wanna change the word both to more so that it matches what it says right above it.
One or all, one or more?
That's all.
And I have it highlighted on the screen if that helps anybody what she's talking about.
I also just know kind of how things have changed a lot lately. Should we add the word trust? I see LLC, I think you kind of covered it, but it mentions beneficiaries, members of an LLC, shareholders, but it doesn't say trust, and it seems like there's a lot of trust out here right now.
I'll add that to my motion to amend to change the word one or more instead of one or both, and to add the word trust, parentheses S to the list.
Okay.
So it should read, this shall include equitable owners such as individually named owners, beneficiaries, members of an LLC, shareholders in a corporation, trusts,
Okay.
or any other.
All right, so that's your motion to amend. Do I have
That's
a
mine.
second on the motion to amend?
Second.
Okay. So we need to
So,
vote just
on the amendment,
the amendments.
but not whether or not we're approving it.
Right, so just on including one or more and adding trust to this ordinance. Is that, everybody ready?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm gonna do it right here. Okay, Mr. McDade,
Yes.
Mr. O'Connell,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Norton,
Yes.
Ms. Capel? Yes. And Ms. Stubblefield?
Yes.
All right, so both of the amendments there passed.
So that's just the amendment. Now we'll vote on whether or not to recommend this ordinance as amended to council.
Everybody
Any
good?
discussion?
Okay. Ms. Capel?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connell?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. McDade?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
And Ms. Stubblefield?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay.
What are we on? 12? Okay, so this ordinance 12, the Marsh Island Residential District that y'all are familiar with is enacted maybe 2017, 2018. Long Island was put into it last year, was rezoned from single family to Marsh Island Residential. We defined this, this district, but we did not put it into the table of uses. So what I have done, you can see MIR here, Marsh Island Residential. I've basically copied single-family residential, but I took out short-term rentals because the definition explicitly prohibits short-term rentals in Marsh Island Residential. And then I also took out schools and group homes because there's no
Yeah.
bridges to these islands. I just figured that's just not gonna happen. So single-family is still allowed. You see that right there. And then community or neighborhood center, these right here, parks, non-commercial, horticulture, private docks. I did not do a utility or allowing a utility over here. I think that's not in the spirit of what they're trying to do with Marsh Island Residential. And then other than that, all of that mirrors single family. So
Whether-
basically allowing a dock, a park, a community center, or a home.
Okay. All right, let's do it right. Let's get a motion and then discuss.
So moved.
Okay.
Okay, discussion. Whether or not we vote to recommend this, it won't change what they can build out there. It's just adding it to the table.
It's correct. Right now, the definition allows single-family homes and prohibits short-term rentals. So those are already, single-family home already allowed, short-term rental already not.
Community
because
or
it's-
neighborhood is not already allowed.
Pardon me?
Community or neighborhood is not?
Well, it's just up in there what's allowed because it is not in here. And so if someone went to develop that, we have a problem because I don't have anything to turn to. So this is, I don't think it's adding anything. It's clarifying for this district.
If we were to amend, would it take away?
What do you mean?
If we were to amend to remove community or neighborhood center,
That's fine, yeah, I mean, you can do that. It wouldn't change.
what can be built?
I mean, no community center could be built. That would only change.
Community center.
Is that what you said? Where?
Yeah, community or neighborhood center is the first P.
Yes.
Okay, I was thinking they planned development.
No, that's like a
Okay.
community center. that
It's
we-
like a nature center, I mean, it's not,
Correct.
like,
I don't
but I
want
still have.
A nature center, a community center.
But they can, so,
Any kind of stuff.
Any kind of center, park, yeah, these are
Yeah.
community services, not communities.
okay,
Yeah.
understood.
Not like a visitor center.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
I guess it's fine.
I know, I'm with you.
Anybody else have any questions or discussion? No, we call the roll, please.
So as is, we're going to recommend this table to council, okay. Mr. Norton,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Ms. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. McDade,
Yep.
Mr. O'Connell,
Yes.
Ms. Stubblefield.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay.
All right, 13, this one is even more straightforward. This is a base district table in our ordinance, and it just did not have Marsh Island Residential and the Center Street overlay here. They were not included, and this just adds them into the list of, into the table of zoning districts.
Do we have a motion?
Second? Anybody?
Second. Any discussion?
Okay. Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. McDade,
Yep.
Mr. Norton,
Yes.
Ms. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. O'Connell,
Yes.
Ms. Stubblefield.
Yes.
Motion passes. The last one here is also purely technical. There we go. Right now, the ordinance says that a decision of the Board of Zoning Appeals, if you want to appeal that, it said 30 days after the decision is made. State law gives them 30 days after that decision is mailed. So this is just changing this so that it matches what state law says.
I do have questions, but we should wait for discussion.
Can we make a motion?
Sure, motion to.
Second.
Okay.
So, and it sounds like this is literally a technicality, but just from my understanding, within 30 days of it being mailed, so there's obviously a stamp and that's kind of your black and white, but how long, can you appeal any time after that? Or is it just, you have to appeal within 30
They have
days?
to appeal within that 30
So
days.
within 30 days, so if y'all mail it on March 1st,
They have to
assuming
appeal-
we get it, you know, somebody gets it before March 30th, but you have that time period from the stamp date to actually, and then after that is dead.
Mhm.
Just want to make sure I understood, because it felt a little confusing to me. It just says 30 days after the decision is mailed. It doesn't say within 30 days of the
Oh, I see
decision.
what you're saying. Okay. The appeal should be filed within 30 days after the decision is made, or 30 days after the decision.
Right, it doesn't
Appeal
really
shall be-
say it has to be done within 30 days of it being mailed.
Do you want to make that suggestion?
To me, it leaves it wide open for years to come, but I might be.
So how, say that?
So if, right here on this page, right here, it says, made, the appeal shall be filed within 30 days after the decision is made, or 30 days after the
Yeah,
decision
it needs
is
it within.
mailed. But to me, it doesn't make it clear that it has to be appealed within 30 days. So it's saying, to me, it's saying, anytime after 30 days, you can appeal it.
Right.
That's a good catch. So, or within 30.
Not or within, it just seems like it has to be done within 30 days of the stamp, the day it's
Well,
mailed.
the sentence is the appeal should be filed 30 days after the decision of the planning commission is made, 30 days after the decision of BZA is mailed. So the or is just applying to BZA. Everything before that is only applying to the planning commission, which the planning commission is saying the same as 30 days after a decision is made.
Do we have, is there language in here that makes it clear that the
Yeah,
timeline is?
I think you should make make an amendment to say or within 30. Throw that in there.
I make an amendment to say or within 30
I'll
days.
second that.
What ordinance are we working on here?
14.
14, okay. So 14, I got a motion and a second to amend, to add the word within. All right, can we do a vote on that first? Okay. Ms. Cappell,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. O'Connell,
Yes.
Mr. Norton,
Yeah.
Mr. McDade,
Yep.
Ms. Stubblefield.
Yes.
And Jen, I have another just kindergarten newbie question on this, because this is sort of new to me. But, so how does the process work? Do they have to go through the BZA first and then planning commission, or is it either,
They're
it just gets
separate.
remanded to one or the other?
Depending on what you're applying for, it goes to one or the other.
Okay, so we were striking out of the BZA after the decision of the planning commission, right? Since I see a strikeout there.
So
how
that's
do-
gonna stay.
Yeah,
The
so-
decision of the planning commission will still be the first part of that sentence, 30 days after the decision is made is the time to appeal.
Okay,
But then the or will be just for BZA within 30 days
All right,
after the
good.
decision is mailed.
all right, so I just got confused on my part on whether it was going to, you can go to either one.
From the beginning, if it's a subdivision, it goes to planning commission. If
Got
it's
it.
a variance or a special
Okay.
exception, it goes to BZA.
Got it.
Okay, so the amendment has to add the word within.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're back to your original motion. Any more discussion? Okay, Mr. Norton,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. McDade,
Yep.
Ms. Capel. Yes. Mr. O'Connell,
Yes.
and Ms. Stubblefield.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, are there any commissioner comments? It's your chance to blurt out anything you want. On record. All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
for the record, there were nobody signed in and nobody emailed me anything about any of these ordinances.
Good.
Any staff comments?
I don't, oh, I do. We are, taking applications right now for all the other boards, not for yours, because y'all are special, but we have vacancies on the design review board, the Board of Zoning Appeals, it's on our website, all the other boards. We have Parks and Recreation, there's one vacancy on Parks, then there's two on Parks. We have some other construction, like Board of Adjustment, and I don't know what those are, but for BZA, DRB, and Parks, if you know, here we go. TVPC, CPC, Utility Advisory Board, ATAX, and Construction and Fire. So if you know people who want to get involved in the city, please send them to our website and tell them how great it is to serve on the board. And they can also, if they have any questions, send them our way,
What's the deadline to apply?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Thursday, we're trying to get these on the agenda for council.
Get on it.
Say 6 weeks.
It's an
Wow.
easy application process. It's like 2 sentences.
Motion to approve,
Adjourn.
adjourn.
All right.
Thank you.
7:54, sorry, Gordon. I didn't get you out of here in time.
Well, the.
Did you promise in 30 minutes?
That's how I promised in 30 minutes. And then I told him I couldn't keep that promise.
I'm with Amy on the tree stuff.
Are we
though.
on?
I want to get back to the tree thing.
Yes, yeah.
Are we on?
totally
I
said.
want to talk trees